When working with embroidery threads, it's really important to keep the length quite short. If you have an overly long thread that travels through your fabric multiple times, you will find that friction will start to wear on it quite significantly. And the signs are snapping threads, because they will eventually snap. But on the way to that, that's the most extreme thing that will happen. On the way to that, you will have pale colours going grey. If you have a shiny thread such as silk, stranded cotton, rayon, they will lose their shine, and wool particularly will go very fuzzy. And that's all an indication that you're looking for that your thread is starting to deteriorate, and it's usually, as I say, because of friction. When working with perlés, I've found in the past that when you've overworked a perlé, the thread colour changes quite significantly. So if you see that happening, you may want to take out the last couple of stitches and just end your thread. But there is a trick. A lot of people will take their skein in one hand. After you've found the end, you have to find the end. I usually go looking in the middle for a cut end to pull, because there's usually, on a skein like this, there's usually two ends. The one I try to go with is in the centre, and I can't find it. This happens a lot. Bear with me. Ah, there it is. Okay. So one of the tricks is to take your skein in one hand and draw the thread down to your elbow, snipping it at the wrist. Now, for most people, this will generate a decent length piece of thread that you can use, and is just about right. I try to keep my thread lengths to about 25 to 30 centimetres, which is 10 to 12 inches. But I'm quite tall, I'm 5'9". I have quite a long orangutan-esque arm here, and I tend to find that this distance in most threads is a little bit too much. So I have to just really judge it by eye. You can get out a tape measure if you want to be really quite precise, but don't rely too heavily on the long term. Measuring everything and being really caught up in that can be quite detrimental to the process. We've talked about stranded cotton before. It's a divisible thread, which means it's designed to be taken apart. It's one of the few threads that are. Any kind of stranded thread, whether it be stranded rayon, stranded silk, or stranded cotton, is designed to be taken apart. It's not designed to be used in the way it comes off of the skein being the bundle of thread. When this thread is manufactured, the individual strands, there's usually about 6 of them. In stranded cotton, it's usually 6. They are lightly twisted together to hold them, and in going through that process, they develop twist on the individual threads themselves. And twist is what usually forms knots when you're stitching. So if you have a problem with knots magically appearing in your thread, it's probably because you have a build-up of twist on them. So what you need to do is to take each strand individually and extract it. So you just separate one out, and then you pull upwards. It's best to pull upwards. You can see it's all gathering there in my hand. And when the thread is released, twist will drop out. It's really important to give it just a few seconds to hang so that twist can drop out, because the twist can cause knots. If you are using more than one strand of stranded cotton, I often use 2. You take a second thread and separate it out individually, again letting that twist drop out. Now I will then recombine those threads to put them back into the needle. The reason I do that is because they will sit a lot better when you are stitching with them. If you separate 2 out in one go, not only could your bundle get all snarled up, which is really annoying, but they will sit slightly twisted around each other, because again the whole bundle has been twisted together so that it holds together on the skein. When working with stranded or divisible threads, such as this stranded cotton, there are 2 approaches that you can take. One is to extract a section of the bundle and cut the whole 6 threads off in one go. I tend to find when I do this, I will take 1 to 2 threads out of this, and then the bundle kind of disappears, I lose it. And I often find it gets attached to the side of my arm or my clothing, and I find it when I finish stitching for the day. So I don't do that very often. I tend to extract a section of the thread, and then if you go in and pull out just 1 thread, you can actually snip it there. So I've cut it close to the bundle itself, and then you can extract the thread by pulling upwards. Again, pull upwards. If you pull sideways, that twist that's on the thread where they've been plied together will actually increase. That's where you get tangles, which is why extracting straight up is the way to do it. And again, let that twist fall out. You can let it fall out of the bundle as well. And then when you go back to get more, you're just looking for that cut thread close into the skein, and you can cut in the same area to take another thread.